Hey, we're live. Welcome, Ashley. Uh, I'm really excited to have you here. I've been seeing you just explode all over LinkedIn. You're doing such a fabulous job with social networking and getting yourself out there, and you have such a valuable offering. So, let me take a step back and say, welcome, Ashley Gross. You're the founder of the Prompt community, and previously, you've upskilled 100 marketers around the usage of generative AI. And most recently, you rolled out 8 LLMs into production for one marketing organization. Um, did I miss anything at all with the accomplishments? I know you have like a long list that's just accruing.
I no, great. That's perfect.
And you have a lovely presentation for us today on maximizing technology adoption. So, without further ado, I'll step out of the way and let you steamroll through this.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Yes, I have done many things, so you don't feel like I'm a stranger hopping on here to talk to you. I will give you a little bit of a background on where and when and why and all the questions you might have about how I got started using generative AI. I started using generative AI in 2020. We all remember the pandemic. I had severe cabin fever and I was not talking to people as I started doubting like my own abilities. So things like how many exclamation points am I using in an email, and like is the tone off? I was just spending way too much time questioning silly things that were just hogging my time and productivity. And so I started using Jasper AI, uniformity and brand voice. I wanted to really build out a knowledge base of like, who is Ashley? How does she talk? This is what I like. This is what I don't like to say. Just so I had something consistent that I could refer back to. And then as soon as I saw the immediate ROI in Jasper and just using LLMs in general, I started coming up with use cases for everything. And it wasn't because I necessarily loved the LLMs. Prior to 2020, I had no technical background. I really just wanted to start automating the tasks that I had to do that were a part of my job that I hated doing so that I could spend time with my son, like way more time with my son, and just enjoy my job more. It was really about the job satisfaction. So in 2022, I was for a company and I was approached with an offer to create an AI task force and to help out with that task force and creating IT policies and frameworks and rolling out multiple LLMs to a marketing org of over 100 marketers. And I'm not going to go through all of the 20s that we do, but I will say, as far as qualifying and quantifying metrics go, within 3 months of multiple LLM implementation, we over exceeded our pipeline target of 90 million by hitting 115 million. So we were able to see on a micro level and a macro level what the impact of generative AI was. So I learned a lot about what intrinsically motivates people to adopt technology, because this was prior to the ChatGPT boom and people didn't know the potential of AI yet, which made rolling it out a little bit harder for me because people didn't know what was about to happen. So I had to make them believe in this and really hone their skills in and just for all of this. A lot of it just by writing down what did and didn't work on yellow eagle pads. And a lot of it was just testing it on my own and then seeing what worked and how fast it worked, and then showing people how to do it that way. So, where I'm going with this is walk you through multiple steps in how to maximize your adoption so that you do not have to work hard, you can work smarter. Because I have done all of this already, and I can tell you the hard way and the smart way and give you all the tools and resources so that you do not have to make the same mistakes I did. And you can also just speed up your adoption and start seeing way more use cases and outcomes, because in my opinion, when it comes to generative AI, we are barely scratching the surfaces with what's possible. So step one might seem a little bit funny. I know that we're talking about technology and I've got food up, but I always tell people to start with a fun use case. The reason why is because you want to look at a technology adoption as you need to set the foundation, you need to teach them you need to teach them the basics of this tool, but then you need to build on top of that. So ideally, when I'm teaching people how to use generative AI, I want to aim for a use case that produces an outcome in 30 seconds or less, because they need to see the results immediately, intrinsically motivated to go back and try again. And if they have a bad first experience, I'm already losing them by 75%. Like, they are 75% less likely to come back and learn from me again. So I like to start with food. I like to ask ChatGPT what recipes I can make with the ingredients that are already in my fridge. The point being is lots of us are really busy and we're working and we've got mouths to feed and things to do. And running to the grocery store during rush hour is not a part of our plan that we want, right? So it provides an ROI that motivates us to say, wow, that solved a personal problem that I really needed help with. That's really cool. Like, I wonder what else it can do. And that's really the only point of that first use case, is just to have fun. The second step that I would option is solve a personal problem, right? So I love to use AI to organize my schedule and set reminders. So I'll use tools like Reclaim AI, right? Where I can say, okay, every single day I want to take an hour lunch break. And then automatically on my calendar, and books a call every single meeting. I want a 30-minute buffer so that I have time to run to the bathroom or go get a water, just stretch or go outside or whatever I want to do. And even though it's not the most technology savvy use case, it provides so much relief because I have Calendly and I have multiple calendars, and my Calendly is everywhere on the internet. So people can book times with me when I'm not even at my computer. And so I might be out at the store and someone books a time with me. But because I use Reclaim AI to add those buffers 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, I know that I at least have 30 minutes to get to my computer. Now I'm way more organized than that, and I don't leave it up to fate to decide when I'm going to have meetings. But my point is, we went from a 30-second use case to now using one LLM to solve personal problem for activity. And I'm seeing immediate ROI on that. And ideally, it took me 60 seconds to set up, right? Some other benefits that I've seen work really, really well in solving personal problems is using it to sort emails. So I'm sure everyone can getting running and you're just excited to put your head down and start working, and you have like 25 emails. And manually, if you were to do this, you would read all 25 emails and figure out what's going on and then prioritize based on like which fire to put out first. But if you're using an LLM to organize those emails based on prioritization, then you just jump in. You know that your time is being spent in the places that it needs being spent in, and it provides immediate value to you. So those are two examples of that second step on how I would solve a personal problem. The third step that we're going to get to is enhancing learning, because everybody wants to do more than they're doing right now. So why not figure out a way to use an LLM to do that? And so we went from a use case of 30 seconds, then to outcome. Now we're working towards a minute. So an application that I love using is Duolingo, because I'm trying to learn Spanish. Do I have time to hire an instructor and take 30 minutes out of my day every single day? No, I don't. But what I do have time to do is download the Duolingo app. And as I'm conversing, and I can just put and ask Duolingo how I say something in Spanish. It teaches it to me. I practice. It gives me pointers on what I practiced, and I see immediate value. And it took 60 to 90 seconds. So incremental innovation, right? That leads to overall adoption. And I'm able to get immediate value from it. And it's making me better, right? People are intrinsically motivated to do things that make them better versions of who they already are. So I'm not wasting, at no point in time am I like, why did I download that Duolingo app and practice learning another language? I'm never going to say that, because I'm actually enhancing this version of me, right? And everybody likes to be the best version of themselves. So intrinsically motivating people. Something else that you can use is the Khan Academy, right? It's full of games that you based on the skills that you want to learn, whether they're professional or personal. This would help you get a promotion. This could help you change careers. My point is, this step 3, this third use case, it's for something that is personal, going to benefit, and it's something that you've always wanted to do, but you didn't know how to do it. And now that this technology exists, you can do it simultaneously as you're parenting, as you're working, as you're doing all the things that you have to do in your 9 to 5 busy lives. But that's the step 3, right? Step 4 is just transitioning transitioning from personal to professional. So we did incremental innovation for personal. We did something fun to start with. Everyone gets excited. That light bulb goes off of what is the possibilities? What can I do? It's not that hard, right? Because a lot of talking about technology is in technical terms. And people are like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not technical. And in reality, you don't need to be technical. See the value in it and be motivated to come back and keep trying and testing it, because what makes innovation possible is curiosity. So when we talk about creating a movement where there's mass adoption that's taking place, you want people to get curious and stay curious. That's all you want them to do. So to step 4 into the cases, you can start to integrate AI tools for productivity and collaboration. So things like Asana and Trello, regardless if you're in a startup or an enterprise, as soon as you're cut on resources and time, lots of moving parts start happening, and you need something to manage that, because no matter how many type A players and amazing people you have on your team, something is going to get lost. So the goal with the step 4 use case is really just to figure out a pain point in the business that you can use technology to solve for. And it's not replacing humans, it's enhancing them. So you can look at your workflows and see where the friction points are. I say Asana and Trello because a lot of a startup, you probably don't have any full-time employees right away if you're new. You have a good bit of contractors, maybe a part-time worker, and probably some family and friends helping you grow your business. And so if you use free tools like Asana and Trello, then you can actually project manage, you can communicate, and you have to go track to email them, have conversations, have meetings. It's all in one. And it's not, we're moving up from the amount of time it takes to get to these impacts. So it's no longer a 30-second outcome, right? Input to output is not 30 seconds, but it's still under 5 minutes. And having that be something where people can say, oh, wow, I was using this for the personal reasons, but now I applied this to my business and now there's less friction points. That's really what we want to get to, is just transitioning from I can do this to we can do this. So that moves us into step 5. So for this 5th use case, this is where we really go into the small business mindset, right? So I always like to point small business owners, you can't be everywhere all the time. You can't even do that at an enterprise level without hiring someone. So we live in an instant gratification world. That is just what it is. When you get on Instagram, there's clicks, there's 30-second videos, TikToks, people want answers. They Google things. And if you don't give them the answer immediately, then they're less curious about it and you lose their interest just like that. And as a business, you can't afford to do that. So in order to continue this adoption of technology and see it in a professional lens and what it can do for your business, you can use things like chatbots, where you put them on your website and at 2 a.m. while you're sleeping, any customer can get on there and they can ask a question, and you can be able to collect their data points so that when you wake up, if it's something that you need to look into, you can look into it. Or maybe they're just asking about your refund policy, which in reality would be a total waste of your time to stay up until 2 a.m. just to possibly wait for that and have to answer it when there's a form somewhere that can do that for you. Some other ways that you can implement AI in this, preferably small businesses or just gradual use cases, would be things like pre-event marketing. One of the best use cases I ever did was we ended up finding out that the lack of attention that we get from an event, say we get money, we get a booth, we go to this trade show, and we know that our customers are going to be there, right? And we're really excited. We need these customers. But we go to this event, we do all of this work, and then because we're scrappy and small, 3 days after the event is when we can follow up with those prospects. Well, 3 days after the event, they don't even remember what event they went to or really who you are or what you did. Like, you lost that momentum and you had to take your foot off the gas. And you don't want to do that because it's hurting your business. So something that you can implement with technology that you'll see immediate ROI on is pre-event marketing. Go ahead and have a Google form filled out so that any prospects that want to talk to you, embed the URL of that Google form into a QR code. Put the QR so that anybody that wants to talk to you, they just have to scan that code, fill out a form, and then they get an appointment with you. So then, one, it solves the problem of you're at this event. You probably have to run around and network, but you also need to man the booth. Now you're not locked to booth. As far as follow-ups go, if you have their email at the event, then you can follow up with them immediately after the event, that same night, ideally. Hey, so-and-so, I know that you stopped by the booth today at 2 and we talked about blah, blah, blah. Would love to follow up with us. When's a good time to book? And then that's it. You send them a Calendly link, they book time with you, and guess what? Those leads aren't going cold now. They're hot. They're piping hot because you got to them that same day. Now, manually without technology, this wouldn't be possible without a ton of people burning out and running around in circles. But with things like generative AI and Google Forms and QR codes and all technology's amazing things, we can do that. So that's where I try to tell people to start with step 5. And it doesn't need to be small business entirely. It just needs to be something where you have the attention span to pay attention to whether or not this specific use case is providing you value. Because a lot of times when it comes to especially generative AI, sometimes I see people kind of get lost because they are so excited that they spend time digging into all these different tools. And then before they know it, they're like, wow, What day is it? Well, I just spent 5 hours looking at this one AI tool and I didn't write down metrics. I didn't write down outcomes. I didn't write down how long it was taking me to try this exact use case and what the results were. And they ended up just spending way more of their time that they really didn't have. So being strategic and starting small and experimenting mindfully is really the key of step 5. Step 6 is scale, right? So you have the basics down. Now we're ready to build on top of that. I always tell people to look at technology adoption in the form of impact and outcome. And I'll give you a great example of this, right? So we roll generative AI to a marketing organization and we look at what the impacts are and what the outcome is. Well, first, I'm going to align all of my stakeholders to agree on what the business's problem is that we want to use technology to solve for it. That is important and a non-negotiable, because if you have a multiple people together that are not aligned main problem businesses, then you're going to have expectations that are unable to be managed. It's impossible. It's a mission fail. But if you start from that level of what is the business's problem, okay, great. Now, as a department, let's go around and marketing. How can you solve this problem? Sales, how can you solve this problem? Now we have this synchronous energy of, okay, great. Departmentally, this is what we're going to do to solve the business's problem. And here's me in the middle as my individual contributor. And here's what I'm doing to connect those dots. And so impact could look like we have lower customer churn. Our brand on social media is churns in a row. Meanwhile, the outcome was just to reduce the churn rate of customers by 20%, right? That was the outcome that everybody agreed on and aligned on. But the impacts that we're seeing along the way to that outcome was lower customer churn, brand reputation, and better management on social media channels. So that's how you would scale AI for business growth. You could implement it in, forecasting. You could plug it into a financial planning tool so that every invoice, every payroll, everything is in a unified front, so that regardless of who sits where in each department, they can log into this one interface using this one LLM and see their contribution as individuals, but all overall how the business is doing. And what that does is it reduces these silos that end up coming regardless of how good you are. The larger you scale, the more silos take place, which makes sense. You have more people, so it's more people that information is passing through this person that came a telephone. Before you know what's actually happening, what started is completely different than what ends up happening. And so if you can use technology to figure out a way to bring all these different people together in one area, that is how you scale with. Step 7, foster a culture of continuous learning. I'm going to keep going back to generative AI because that is what I do. I'm a generative AI strategist. I'm an educator. I teach courses. I have an affordable and accessible AI education community because I'm so bullish on this and democratizing AI access. How you should foster a culture of continuous learning is telling everyone, especially your employees, if you're a business owner or a C-suite director, tell them it's okay to make mistakes, right? So the number one barrier for curiosity is fear. If you tell people, hey, here's the rules, break the rules, go figure this out. If you don't pigeonhole people and you don't give them specific things to do and you let them experiment safely, that's when the real magic happens. Whenever I was a part of this task force, there were people from completely different backgrounds. I think we have engineers and maybe one architect. Other than that, it was marketing, it was sales, it was product. It's a group of people that are intrinsically motivated to come together and try solving problems with technology. That's what you need. You do not need a group of engineers and a group of architects and tech heavy people, because that's not where the magic happens. Not necessarily. The magic happens when you get a group of people together that want to be there and want to contribute to the business using technology. And they're not afraid to fail and they're not afraid to try. So how you foster that is you encourage it, and you maybe even make it an initiative to say, hey, this quarter, everyone gets access to these tools. Here's your budget. Here's the rules for that tech. We're going to talk about this every 2 weeks, and we're going to have a round robin meeting every 2 weeks where everyone's going to take 5 minutes and tell me what they've been doing with this tool, right? Encourage a continuous learning. Lots of companies give learning and development budgets. If you can't do that, that's fine. But if you can, then do it. And even pick some certifications that they can take that make them want to experiment and test technology out. That's even better. So that wraps up my talk. I'm just going to leave you with this. We are at the forefront of AI, really just technology in general. We're seeing the worst iterations of generative AI that we're ever going to see in our lifetime, right? They are making mistakes. They are hallucinating. They're not mitigating bias like they should be. And all of these things can just over time eat away and chip away at adoption if you let them, because people are afraid of making mistakes. And if they see all the bad, don't know what to do when they see. So my advice would be, don't do this alone. If you're looking to expand on technology adoption, find a group of people in a community that is also doing this and offers accessible and affordable resources. That's why I linked my prompt community, because that is what I do. And also find the problem. Always lead with the problem. If you have one problem that you want to fix or work on, go find technology that solves that problem really, really well. And then once it solves that problem really, really well, move on to the next problem. And then before you know it, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, I just used all of that technology and I'm not savvy at all with technology. But I came back, I was curious, I started small, I experimented mindfully, and I iterated constantly. And now look at all of the successful use cases we have. That is how you create an adoption that is sustainable and works from day one. And also just make sure that you're not narrowing your focus in on a certain group, because innovation and curiosity can come from anywhere and it should come from everywhere. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I hope that you enjoyed that. And if you're curious to learn more, or if you just have any questions, I have tested an obscene amount of generative AI tools, and I just have all this knowledge sitting in my Google folder. With me on LinkedIn, send me a DM. I'm very nice. Hopefully everyone knows that. I would love to meet you. And have a great day. I hope you have fun and enjoy the rest of this event.
I can confirm that Ashley is super nice and approachable. And more importantly, she's knowledgeable and she's been implementing this in practice and teaching people how to pragmatically get on with this technology. It's not something we should be afraid of, it's something that we need to embrace. And excellent presentation, right down to the point. Start where you're at and start with what you have. There's no reason why we shouldn't begin to experiment, because that's the only way we're going to start to envelop ourselves in this space. And we are so very much at the beginning stages of this, even though it's been around for a year and change. A lot of people were just adopting and playing with it, but it's gotten to a point where it's very good. There's multimodal um, generative AI that allows you to speak with it. You can take pictures and engage with it in different formats. And as Ashley pointed, there's so many different tools that are hooking onto these models and implementing them in different ways. I know in the prompt community, there are so many different productivity hacks and tools and recipes that she's showcasing weekly. Um, this is the Swarm community. That's the prompt community. I encourage you to go over there if you want to get the pragmatic stuff. This is a little bit more ethereal. So uh, I certainly, I couldn't encourage you to go there enough. And do you have any other kind of takeaways or pieces of advice for people that are sort of dipping their feet, looking to embed this in their business practice, or you know?
Advice, I would say, like, one of them, I feel like it's undervalued. And so I'm going to give a little bit of love to it. So if you've never seen the ChatGPT app, this is what it looks like. And if you click on the little headphone, somebody will start talking. Okay. And I can say things like this. I can say, hey, I need you to be a marketer and I'm about to run a board meeting and I need you to take on the persona of a marketer and give me feedback when I pitch you my ideas. Do you understand? And then it just thinks.
Absolutely, I can take on the persona of a marketer and provide feedback on your pitch. Just go ahead and present.
So I run board meetings. I actually like take my husband's phone and like I make his phone the sales agent and my phone the marketing agent. And then I run meetings like that so that I'm just getting pure data and no emotion, because that's how I want to run my business since it's just me. I don't want to lead with my emotions. I want to lead with a strategy. That's one undervalued piece that I still don't see And we're in conference season, right? So you can take the app on your phone. I have an iPhone, but I mean, every phone has like a default voice memo. And I always get really frustrated because after events, the on-demand sessions, they edit them and it takes a while. And like, I want to see it immediately. Because like once I'm motivated, I want to go do my research immediately. So what I've started doing when I go to conferences is I will click start. First of all, I always sit in the front row. If you don't sit in the front row, this is virtual, but like if you're in person, go to the front row. You're paying, you might as well be there. Click start when someone starts speaking. As soon as it ends, click end. Upload it to a free transcribing note app. So I use a tool called Aiko, Aiko. It's totally note translates audio to text. So I translate that voice memo to text, and then I throw it into ChatGPT and I tell it to retrieve all of the key takeaways from the presentation, any quotes, any feedback, and any significant contributions. And then as soon as I track, I have the quotes, I have the feedback, and I can immediately start to do my research. So that by the time the on-demand session rolls out, generative AI specifically has probably already changed whatever was said in that talk. But also, it gives you great points that if you're writing blogs or articles or you want to follow up with the author, you can do it immediately and you don't have to wait. So that would be my 2 pieces of feedback that I would leave.
Yeah, in these forums and symposiums that I've been hosting, a lot of people have been talking about the technical implementation, architecting these systems, but there's not enough people that are talking about you have the phone in your pocket, download the app, and you can start engaging with a virtual agent, a virtual actor. And as you said, there's no emotions. You're tapping into this.
Right.
It might not be 100% factual across all the channels, but it's certainly a good sounding board that you don't have to rely on your friends. It's powered by the internet, so you're going to get some creative ideas to just get started. There's no reason to stay stuck anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Find the value, make it practical, apply it.
Well, thank you very much, Ashley, and lovely to engage with you as well. So, yeah, we'll catch you in the next one, and I hope to continue collaborating with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.